This daf Yerushalmi Pesachim. The article also edition on daf Ayin Hey Omer Alv, the third line down. Nazir Shenitma, and that in the Vilna is on daf Sam Gimel Omer Alv. If you have the classic Vilna, it is the line below the line above the Gilui Nashas, and it's approximately 20 lines on the bottom. 19 and 20 lines on the bottom. 20 lines on the bottom. Okay, so Nazir Shnitma, beside Rishus Yachid. Nazir became Tamei in a suffix Rishus Yachid. It was a bottom Rishus Yachid. Even if it was a suffix Tuma, he'd be Tamei, because a suffix Tuma Rishus Yachid is Feiko Tamei. But he became Tamei in a suffix Rishus Yachid. It says here, Ve'enu Pesach. The article translates that means, and we're not talking about a Pesach case. But the Parsha says that this is some sort of Haggah which got into the Gemara by mistake, because it's okay. Yes, Pesach, no Pesach. We're talking about Nazir. So and Yerushalmi Pesachim takes that Haggah of some Talmud. But in any event, Nazir Nitma B'Safik Shus Yochid Rabbi Yosha Rabba Amar Nazir Megalech. Yosha Rabba said the Nazir has to be Megalech, because he's a Savek Tamei, and says the Korbaneda, the Kim should start Gilma Zayin, he has to count 3 and 7 days. I'll Savek. How many Tamei in Zeshim Megalech? So he has to be Megalech. He has to start from scratch. He has to shave his hair off and start from scratch. Rabbi Yochanan Ena knows Megalech. He said, no, this is not Megalech on this Savek Rishus Yachid. Then that's how we learn. Over there, Kol Tuma Min Amesh, knows Megalech Olav. Any tumah from a mace which a nazir has to shave on, has to terminate this disease and start again. Chayav and oleha, you chayav on it. On that tumah, here it says ve'al. Korbaneda changes it to al. Bias mikdash, and the chayav means korban, and says the Korbaneda. Vade, then it may be korban. Vade below a suffix. It can be a korban of chulim ba'azora. Perhaps if it's if you're not sure that you became tamei, so therefore it works both ways. You're not maybe a korban on it, so therefore a nazir can't be kaleach on it. That's the flip side, of course. Any tumor that makes which nazir does not shave on, you're not chayav it again. Al bias mikdash. Okay, so the hey dinu suffix. What is the suffix upon which, and it says korbaneda, upon which nazir is megalech? Okay, if he's not megalech on this suffix, what suffix is he? Does he shave off his hair? Rabbi Yochanan says, Rosh of the Pirka, the beginning of the parak. I can't really read what I wrote here. Oh, just ready for next one. Okay, so the Korbaneda says, Savay Nizka Rosh of Parak Chestin Nazir. A person said, I see you two guys, you two Nazirim are walking the street. One of you became Tamei, I don't know which one of you. So then in that one, stuff you have to be Megalech. Here it says Hoshia Rabbah, the Rabbi Hoshia Rabbah. Probably the article puts it in. Yes, he does. Rabbi Yosha Hain Dehacha. So the says the Korbaneda Hain Dehacha Ach Dehacha Shem B'Savik Shus Yachid. Our case of the Safik, whether it was Shus Yachid or not, that's a case which is not in the Galach Misafik. Yachid Shnitma, an individual became Tamei. It says here, Ubisafik, Korbaneda again changes to Bisafik. Bisafik, Rishus Yachid Bipesach. Right? He came to Rishus Yachid Pesach case. Rabbi Yoshia Rabbah Ma'idach Pesach Sheni. Rabbi Yochanan Rabbah says you push him off to Pesach Sheni. Because it's just like there, it's enough for Nazir Min Galech. Here it's enough to push him off to Pesach Sheni. The Rabbi Yochanan said it's not enough for Nazir Min Galech, so he says, I don't know about that. We're not sure what to do with him, so therefore we send him off to Derech HaChoika. In other words, by this Torah of itself, it's not not enough to push him off to Pesach Sheni, but to push him off to Derech HaChoika. So then For sure he's pushed off to Pesach Sheni. It's worthwhile seeing Korban this as well. Mishal derech choka to have like a suffix tumas. It's a suffix tumas. Okay, Mishal derech choka, since to be derech choka in over cloud al sheino some Pesach. So we don't know what to do with him, but then he's not going to be over and not do the Pesach. V'gami love the avli derech choka love a makri gam misheni. On the flip side, if you did go there, we're not sure what to do with him, and also going to be able to can't be makri Pesach Sheni because we don't know whether he was supposed to was chaim. He should have done Pesach Rishon and has deliberately missed out on it or not. So Vasikai Rabbi Yochanan, and the similar to that which Rabbi Yochanan said, Nidma betumas beis hapras, which is also a suffix. Tuma Kohen went into a person about to make Korban Pesach went into a field where there was a kever plowed under. We don't know if he came in contact with amounts of corpse to be metamim or not. So Mishal Derech was sent to a Derech, so avoids the issue of not having made Pesach Rishon is Mechayev, and he can make Pesach Sheni. Tzibur Shima b'Savik Shusa Yochid. So a tzibur which came to Amei in a suffix Shusa Yochid. Oh, tzibur was a suffix Shusa Yochid. Obviously, weren't the one Shusa Yochid because there wouldn't be Shusa Yochid anymore. But they all had, I guess, a multiple scenarios of tumas tuma in a suffix Shusa Yochid. But Pesach in Pesach Yochanan Ma'asub Sveikon. It says they should do the Sveikon. It says Yasul Atzmon, Vatmeim Yasul Atzmon. The Torah should do for themselves, and the Tmeim should do for themselves. Rabbi Yoshe Rabbah Yasu Betuma. Yoshe Rabbah says that they should do Betuma, which is consistent because he regards it as them as being Tameh. So Rabbi Yochanan's not getting into with a majority, not a majority. So the article goes with the Korban Eidah in evidently Nazir. It says a different shot, and also the Reb Chaim, who says that the tzibur sounds like what was the majority of the tzibur. So the majority of the tzibur is just faking, right? Now they and when it says they have to yasub b'sfeika, means they have to do everything with suffix tuma suffix tara. So it means they do the Korban Pesach, but they use kalim, which can't be makabel tuma because maybe they're tmeim, and they have to be careful not to eat, of course, the Korban Pesach because maybe they're tmeim, but maybe tahorim. So they have to do everything l'chumra misafik. And it seems that the tmeim who are definitely tmeim, they can't participate because there's a suffix that the people are doing a Torah, and the tmeim are pushed to Pesach Sheni. Again, the Pesach Sheni can't do Pesach Sheni either because the suffix the majority really did Pesach Rishon, and I'm sorry. Maybe maybe the majority was they were Tameh for the ones who did Pesach Rishon, and therefore they really even the Tmeim should have done Pesach Rishon with them because the Tzibur not Nidches, so therefore they're stuck. They can't do anything. So not like the Korban Eidah here who says that the Tmeim also do the Korban Pesach at the same time. No, or the Tmeim would have to be pushed off permanently, and the Sfegim would do whatever they did l'chumra in both directions. So, and Rabbi Yoshe says that, of course, that we just mentioned that they all do betuma. It sounds like it's the shitaso, right? Before he said that this no noise is megalecha and this tuma, but the Gemara says no. The Gemara says Av Rabbi Yoshe modesh shiasu b'sfeikon. He also is modesh that they should do it b'sfeikon. The Lam Rabbi Yoshe el chumra. Yosha only says l'chumra. Now the Korban Eidah Shitaso says l'chumra means that that also Tmeim should do Pesach Rishon, but it's don't like we just explained. It's not. It doesn't seem to be the simple pshat in our Gemara. So in Nazir, the Korban Eidah, like we said, Taka there, he says that according to Rabbi Yochanan, Tmeim do not do Pesach Rishon. And he says there that the chumrah of Rabbi Yoshia is that the Tmeim should make Pesach Rishon, which is what he says here too. But Um, but that he already said Rabbi Yochanan. So there he says, not in Rabbi Yochanan, don't make it, and here he says, going to Rabbi Yochanan, you do make it. But it's a little bit difficult, as we said. What basis should the Tmeim do Pesach Rishon here? The Chaim says that it has to do with somebody who's a suffix being metame himself. I didn't really understand how that fits into the sukkah so well. But the Pnei Moshe, both here and there, says consistently that it means that the Torim have to do Pesach Rishon, and they have to be machmir and do it like as if it's being done b'tumah. In other words, even though the Chayyim could say, well, why can't they, the Torim, do it, the minority of Torim do it b'tara? No, because since most of Am Yisrael has a suffix tumah, so therefore they too have to be machmir and do it b'tumah, even though they are Torim. It's not clear why it should be that way. I guess maybe because the Chachamim said a little plug. No, it's not Chachamim really, but because it's the majority of the suffix, so that determines the entire nature of the Korban Pesach. It has to all be done by suffix. But again, the final analysis, it's really not clear what it means here. But that's just somehow there's some chumrah Rabbi Yosha is saying. But after thinking about it for a bit, I think this is the pshat. By the way, I should mention that a rarity here, that the article quotes a Shara Yosher, Shimon in Shara Al Perak Bay speaks about this Gemara, and he says, "L'chumrah like the Korban Eda in Nazir, that the Tmeim have to do Pesach Rishon." And it's because Rabbi Yeshua, even though it's a special type of suffix, but once you say that suffix in Nazir is Megaleach Olav, then of course it's as if it's a Vadai Tuma. But and therefore even the Tmeim also do Pesach Rishon. But then I realized, I think this is the pshat. Rabbi Yosha says Avada, they have a din Tmeim. What's his chumrah? His chumrah is that he's moide to Rabbi Yochanan that they should, nevertheless, the Sfeik should do B'Torah Safek, because it's not a regular tumah. Yes, it's true they have a din tameh, but since it's a peculiar type of tumah, and we want people to remember there's a peculiar type of tumah, so therefore they made sure to say yeah. But even though we regard you, all intents and purposes, if you're tummy, still, since you're the Sfeikim, you should make the Pesach Misafek and not eat it. So the Tmeim actually get to eat it. You don't get to eat it. I think that's the chap here. Okay, so again, Rabbi Yosef Yasu B'Tuma, Rabbi Yosef Modu Shiyasu B'Sfeikon. The Sfeik should do it as Sfeikos. What do you mean? According to you, Rabbi Yosef, as if they're Tomei Vadai. No, Rabbi Yosef Chumin is Machmir. He says yes, but since it's not a regular case, since it's a suffix in the Shusay Yochid, wasn't a Vadai, it was Shusay Yochid, so therefore they have to be Machmir and say that they should do it. They should be hecker to know this is not a simple case, and could be there are nafkaminas, which I'm not thinking of right now. But in any event, he said nevertheless, since it's a special case, they have to do it be machmir and do it b'torah safek with all those things you mentioned before, not being b'tayim the kalim, not eating the carbon, etc., etc. If I was really the yeshiva shalamdin, I could make up a new gather here and say there's a Torah's vadei safek. Right, there's a certain nature of the Torah Safek. There's the Torah's Badai, which is a Badai Safek. Get the idea, but I'm not sure. But anyway, I think this is an emes regardless. That Rabbi Yoshua's Machmir said, even though I regard them as Tameh, everybody should do in Pesach Rishon, the Betuma. Nevertheless, Machmir, I say, that towards Rabbi Yochanan's idea that since it's a different type of Safek, they have to do a Torah Safek as well. Okay, so Rabbi Yechim Rabbi Banai said, Yisrael Orel. Orel here is Mazin Olav. You can be Mazin Mechatos on him, even though it's an Orel. You might think that Mishnah was saying, called Parishman or the question of Kever. It can't be Mazin Mechatos on him. No, you can't be Mazin Mechatos on him. Shkem Matzav Shkem Kibbutz saying, but Midbar Zayar Reilim. Because he found by Avosenu, says the Kormeda, but Pesach Gilgal Mei Yoshua, Shekibul Azam Tumas Meis Shu Yarelim Shova Tuma Tibur Tmeim. The most people was Tame. I was saying they're for when their forefathers. Shkol Yotzim Mitzrayim Mesa and Midbar. They live in name because all their forefathers are in Midbar. And I guess they didn't do that Voida with the Paraduma until they entered Eretz Yisrael. Until just before they entered Eretz Yisrael. And they were their first Azaya when they were Tame. How so? It says Gemara Asya command Rabbi Chisda asked command about Chadasar Malu. They did Bris Milah on the 11th day, so say of Nisan. So says Basar Lamal here Mal on the 10th day Mishum Chulsha the Irsha, the Urcha, because they're weak from the traveling. See, but I'm only in the yard Basar Chodesh came up for the yard on the 10th day of the month. Can the Mal be out of the Chodesh also the Pesach, since they were only Mal on the 11th day of the month and they did a Pesach the year. As the first Azar was in the third of the month, was the third day of the process, which was on the 10th day of the month before they did the Bris Milah. Baram, however, Commander Asimo, if you hold that they did the Bris Milah on the 10th day when they came up from the yard, so locally you have no right from there. They weren't Makabel Zoya. They got Hazoya. The third day was immediately after. They did Hazoya the third day immediately after the. Came out of the across the Jordan, and then after they did the 7th day on Erev Pesach. Rabbi Avun said, never still, weren't they minor when they arrayed them? In other words, they minor the first and second day until they got to the third day as arrayed them. So if you do the minion as arrayed them, so Mr. you can do the as arrayed them. Rabbi Lezer B'Shem said, "Ma'aser Kohen Orel was a Ma'aser Kohen Orel Shehiza. He did the azos, right? Says the Kohen Al Tmeim B'Chshu Azayosa, and this is Azayosa kosher. The kosher can shuat from Makabel Azayosa. If he can do the Azayosa, he certainly can be Makabel Azayosa. But Tani Kane, we also learned in a Bryce Rabbi Lezer B'Yaakov Omer, Istritios Shomrei Tzirim B'Yushalayim. There were soldiers who guarded the Shara Yerushalayim. And they were Tameh, and this really is not Kokorem Ada. It's talking about not talking really about. It's not talking about Paraduma anymore. It's talking about Tful Yom, and that a Tful Yom can do Kokorem Pesach because it says Streetios Yerushalmi Pesachim is the streetios, he says, is the soldiers themselves. Streetios usually the streets. You'd say that, I would say, in the streets, there were Shomrei Yerushalayim, the people who were watching the thoroughfares, Yerushalayim, the Tavla Ochel B'Schein L'Erev, and they were Tavla Ochel Pesachim, as Kormei says, Chayos Yerushalmi Shara Yerushalayim, Kol Yom Ayush Tmeim Betumas Anichas V'Yotzin Tol Ber Pesach Al B'Schein L'Erev the Shor L'Zay Al Tful Yom. The emotion wants to learn more in sync with what they said previously. So the Israelim Arelim Shomrei Shorim Ayu Shloim B'Ni Molu B'Yu Daled B'Tavach B'Schein L'Erev Came B'Kodem Shem Molu Kiblu Osan. So they were not sure. I guess somehow we would know that it's talking about they were Tamei Tumas Meis and they're Mekabel Azoya before that day. The article brings up that they were actually goyim and we were talking about bringing a ride to Beis Shammai. That these stratios wanted to be Toivo, they were Nemo on Erev Pesach, and they as part of Gerus, and they made the Korban Pesach that night like Beis Shammai. Okay, that's a pretty big kiddush. Stratios, though, I really think means the roads, not the soldiers. Check the Shai Kipshuto and see if it says anything about it. No, doesn't say anything. Okay. Hashla Perak Isha. Perak Mishia Tami. Alochal. Mishia Tami said his Tami of their Chachoik of Los Arishan didn't was able to do Pesach Rishon. Yasa Shane makes Pesach Sheni. Shagag or Nanas. If you were Shogeg or Ones, you do Rishon Yasa Sheni. In Cain, Laman Emar Tame over there Chachoka. So if you're Shogeg or Nanas, you didn't do Rishon, you can do a Sheni too. So why Tame there Chachoka? So he says that the explains Shelu B'Turim Nakaris. So tell me the Sheb Derechleika Patona Kosu Lasu Space Rishon. Because Space Rishon. The main course comes to Space Rishon. Be him Lo Su Sheni B'Turim Nakaris. If they didn't come back to do the Sheni, they're part from Karis. Because they're Patur from Space Rishon exempts the Karis Space Sheni. But the Elu Chayim Karis Sholig Ones Chayim Pesach Rishon. They're Chayim Pesach Rishon. They didn't have that Patur. El Shkoga Ones Gvoson. Fine. Sholig Ones was Makib them. But then and then they were amazed and they didn't do Pesach Sheni, then they are Chayav Koris for having missed both Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni. Okay, says the Gemara. Tamil Nefesh. We said Tamil Nefesh. The Pasuk Ish Ishki Tamil Nefesh. So then you can't do Pesach and Pesach Rishon is Pesach Sheni. Only Tamil Nefesh. I only know the person who's Tamil. Tamil too much mace. And Lucy Meshogim Minayin. I don't know anybody else can do Pesach Sheni. If the owners are Shogim. Tamil Lomar Ish Ish Riba. It says Ish Ish. That's a Riba Yakosu. Okay, I could do Rabbi Kiva. Fine, that's a Rabbi Kiva who says there's no such thing as a double lashon in the Torah. Anytime a double lashon is like tashin. So Ish Ish. The second Ish is the Rabbi Shogim of Vainis. But Rabbi Shmuel, what about Shmuel says Dibatar Lashon Bnei Adam? Since Torah speaks in human parlance, nor the way human beings speak, so therefore, the fact that it says Ish Ish can't teach us anything. So Tani, Rabbi Shmuel, Lo Tamei Nefesh Kari Der Cholka V'Lo Der Cholka Kari Tamei Nefesh. It says that there's dissimilarities between the Tamei Nefesh and the Der Cholka. So they're very different, right? What's common among them? It's like Shelo Asas Rishon. That's Sheni. They didn't do Rishon. They didn't make Sheni. Afanami a bit on Nusim Moshakim Shelo Asas Rishon. That's Sheni. In other words, they're so dissimilar. They have the common denominator is basically that they couldn't do Pesach Rishon. So therefore, anybody that doesn't do Pesach Rishon does Pesach Sheni. Okay, Mezim 9. So how can even deliberately miss Pesach Rishon? You can do Pesach Sheni. So the Gemara says, I'm going to say Va'ish, V'Ha'ish. So the rabbis is amazing. So the last of the pasuk, V'Ha'ish. I showed it over there. The first pasuk was by Mibra Tes Yud. Ish ketam and nefesh over there chokolachem or dosachem as a pes Hashem. Second pasuk is Perek Tes pasuk Yud Gimel. Veha ish asher utor over there chloya chloya so it's pes and yuchason nefeshim yamel ki kar Hashem lo hikri mado cheto yisrael yishu. So he's amazing, right? He bears the sin, but veha ish also he can do the Pesach Sheni. Says, wait a minute, Anatin and Shago Nanas. We didn't say anything about amazing on Mishnah. Tanya Bechia, Shago Hazin. He says, no, they have different gears on the Mishnah. It's Shago Hazin, even amazing. He's Chayav Koris, but he's can do Pesach Sheni. My business said, Messi, so Amar Kain. This is, it's also, it can be inferred from language of our Mishnah. She'elu P'tim Koris. It says, these are Patim Koris, Elu Chayav Koris, these are Chayav Koris. Chayav Koris. I get the Chayav Koris. Ma'isloch Chayav Koris. These are Shogeg Nanas here, and not like the Korbanei said in our Mishnah that Shogeg that the Chayav didn't do Pesach Sheni. He's assuming we're talking about somebody who's Chayav Koris because they didn't do Pesach Rishon. Who are we talking about here? So Ma'isloch Chayav Koris lo mezid. Is it not Tomei the Mazid? So we see, according to this opinion, that even a Mazid could do the Pesach Sheni. In the Bavli and Daf base, also they include Mazid or Mishnah. They include the derived from the words the loss of Sarishon. So the loss of Sarishon includes that even a person who didn't do it be Mazid. Okay, so so evidently, even amazing, it's like a Labnita, let's say, he also can get out of chorus if he does a Pesach Sheni, according to these opinions. Tummy and nefesh. Any other tummy and nefesh. So he said, only tummy, I only know tummy and nefesh. Tummy ziva. What if they were that he can do Pesach Sheni? What about if it's tummy ziva, tummy tzaras minayin? Talmud Loimar, the pasuk says, it says here in the Vilna Tamei Meis, the Kupnei Moshe says it changes it to ki yetamei. Maybe it's tummy riba, right? So it includes eight tummy. He can also do Pesach Sheni as well. So matam lo tummy nefesh. Why does it say tummy nefesh? If any time he can do Pesach Sheni. Ela ish tamei nefesh nidcha Pesach Sheni. That to tell us this halacha of this too much of a tzibur, which only applies to Tumas Meis. Ish tamei nefesh nidcha Pesach Sheni. Individuals tamei nefesh to push up Pesach Sheni. Vein tzibur tamei nefesh nidcha Pesach Sheni. A tzibur tamei nefesh is not pushed off the tzibur Pesach Sheni. They can do tuma. They do Pesach Rishon, but tuma. Tamei ziva, but tamei tzaras. Even the majority of the tzibur is Tomei Ziva and Tomei Tzaras. Then Nidcha Pesach Sheni, they can't do Pesach Rishon. Okay, so Tumas Avodah Zarah. We're going to learn more about Tumas Avodah Zarah. What kind of tomorrow? But Am Yisrael is tummy because of Tuma of Avodah Zarah. They had worshipped Avodah Zarah. So the what is the status of that? What is that tuma? So the Gemara says, also so ketuma ziva. I said the worship of Avodah. I'm not 100% sure about that. Could be they came in contact with Avodah. Yeah, I think it came into contact with Avodah. So not the worship of Avodah. So tumas Avodah also so ketuma ziva, tumas taras. It's not like tumas mace. It's like Tumas Tzaras, and therefore they pushed out the Pesach Sheni. Okay, and that brings us to the bottom mamish of Ayin Ham with Bays. So we will stop here for today.